We were told that the weather here can break records, but not spirits, and that you can grow anything, but yields aren't guaranteed. So it was time to find out for ourselves and see if this place lived up to the mystery, because the stories that we heard left us with questions. Like, how does a family of 6 rely on each other for their livelihood? Or how did this place create a testimony that saved thousands of family farms? What do buffalo and hogs have to do with any of it? And how did a man turn his love of experimenting into one of the most unique farms in Michigan? This is why we have come to Mattawan. It was time to hear the story of Schultz Fruitridge Farms.
I'm very happy to own this property, and I'd like to think preserve it. It might not be grapes always, because, you know, crops come and go. I've told you that before. I've had 3 different crops on that farm, and 3 different, you know, almost every location on that farm has had at least 1 or 2 different crops that I have planted in my lifetime. And I'm not done yet. Oop. Yeah, I reached out here for the gear because that's the gator. Haven't found it down there yet, but I keep looking. The farm was bought by my parents back in 1951. My dad was in the Army Air Force, and he was a P-51 pilot. And he made his 50 missions in North Africa and Italy. And then he got to come home, and they found this farm, and this farm had a peach crop on it. And that alone was a good indication it was a good farm.
That 1951 purchase by Bill's parents marked the start of one of Michigan's most diverse farms.
I met Bill in Kalamazoo. I knew him for some time, and then he was brave enough soul to ask me out, and so we started going out.
Bill and Denise were part-timers on the farm until Bill's dad got sick in 1995.
He had a small stroke and he downsized big time. And then I was thrown in the middle of the fire. My college was School of Hard Knocks and Trial and Error. And I graduated with both of those.
And thanks to Bill's experimentations, the farm has grown immensely from the previous generation.
It was diversified when my dad bought it. It had cherries, it had peaches, it had apples, it had grapes. He was a smart man and he was very good at his job, but he didn't experiment. My son is an excellent interviewer. I passed it on to him about 10 years ago. I had to do it all before by myself, you know? And first couple of times I did it was difficult.
I clearly remember sitting in my grandpa's lap. It's like the Alan Jackson song, driving the pickup truck around the farm and, you know, just idling around the farm, and you just think you're king of the world. And I still remember that. As my grandfather's health kind of, you know, started going the other direction, I was just turning like about 19 years of age, and it just kind of naturally transitioned in that respect. I don't think I ever seriously thought about doing anything else. It's been part of my life since I can remember.
Although Billy was the first of Bill and Denise's 4 children to join the farm, he was not the last. Dan, Robin, and Andrew now all work for the operation.
Usually the president or the CEO or dad, whatever you want to call me, gets to make the final decision, and sometimes people don't agree with that, but it does work out.
The new generation of Schultz Farms now consists of 300 acres in Mattawan, Michigan. Although they grow over 9 different crops in a given year, their main source of revenue comes from their 50 acres of apples, 150 acres of grapes, and 10 acres of peaches. While the last 90 acres consists of their direct-to-consumer market, storage buildings, and other crops. Their current formula of crops is the result of years of experimentation, even including hogs and buffalo.
All the different things I did, raising cherries and peaches and apples and grapes and pumpkins and sweet corn and field corn and hard red winter wheat, and I figured, and then I wrote 4 kids, each one of their names on that list. There was 32 things I've done, raised, including those 4 kids. And I'm not doing some of those things again. Like the bison and the pigs are off the list, okay?
Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious Weed Control. Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious Weed Control.
Soon after arrival, we learned quick that fruit farming isn't for the faint of heart.
Yeah, you have to be patient when you're a fruit farmer. It's like 3 years before you start picking any kind of fruit, and profit is 7 years or so out. So you have to forecast 7, 8, 10 years from now. Like, what's the market going to be like? Is there going to be demand for this?
We had major crop losses already this year. We've lost our peach crop back in about the 12th of January. The grape crop, April 24th this year, took a major hit. We lost most of our grapes.
Losses like these are typically caused by early or late freezes. With this being a common occurrence, the Schultzes have had to prioritize diversification.
Another farmer told me you don't stay diversified to make money on everything. You stay diversified so you don't lose all your money at once. And so it's nice when everything comes together and it clicks, but that's kind of rare.
But you can see the grapes are hurt badly. Right here, they've got little buds on it. Those are the regrowths from the frost. And you go back, and then you see the original bud that did not freeze. You can see a cluster of grapes on that. Those ones that are just pushing out, and they're only a half inch long, there's no guarantee there's even a cluster at all.
With grapes contributing to 35% of the farm's yearly revenue, this isn't what the farm was hoping to see this spring.
There's always been grapes on this farm, and the oldest vineyard is probably 100 years old. It's still producing for us. So it's an important part of our operation. We look forward to grape harvest. This year is going to be pretty slim.
We're not going to make any money in grapes. I don't care. We pick every grape there is out there. There's not enough grapes out there to matter. Take what you get. You only have but one chance.
Apples are our bread and butter. We have over 20 varieties of apples on the farm currently. It's a little much, okay, from a management and logistical standpoint, okay? But there's always like a new one coming down the pipeline, and so you want to stay relevant. And so we're throwing a few in here and a few in there.
Apples are one of the Schultz most forgiving and profitable fruit, contributing to 40% of the farm's yearly revenue.
I am out in our apple orchard this morning, putting on a cover spray and putting on a spray thinner so that this fall, when it comes time to apple harvest, here we will have a quality crop that our customers can appreciate.
We need about 10% of the apples that are on the tree right now to make a crop. Yeah, there's a lot of fruit on there, and they're growing quickly. They're like probably 10, 12 millimeters, and they're growing a millimeter a day. And so, yeah, they're going to be the size of a golf ball here in another month, pretty much. It seems like they just really put on size quick. If you didn't thin the apples at all, you would have a lot of maybe, I don't know, ping pong size apples, slightly larger than that in the fall. You would have probably no crop next year because the tree would have been so burdened with a heavy crop this year.
Some people are surprised that you actually spray. I guess they think apples are clean and beautiful because we don't spray. I don't know. But we do have to. It's part of the industry that keeps food healthy and clean and free of worms.
This variety happens to be Golden Delicious. These trees have been here for, I'm going to say, 30 plus years, 40 years almost as old as me.
Although this year's peach crop has been completely destroyed, it usually is their third largest crop, bringing in 10% of the farm's yearly revenue. Every 6 years, a new field of peach trees are planted, and we were able to ride along for the process.
Stand at key, and then I'm gonna get the tractor. Okay.
It all starts with marking out the rows. Together, Bill and Luis map out the entire field with their tape measure, flags, and tractor.
I'm thinking I'm gonna have about 14 to 15 feet to work with between trees. It's a little snug. We'll count out this row and see what it looks like at the end.
Once the initial rows are set, Bill runs through the field again, this time digging lines perpendicular to the planting rows, making a cross-hatch pattern in the dirt.
We want to make sure that the tree sends out roots in all directions and not just down the trench that it's planted in. Otherwise, you get a strong wind from one side, it can lean the whole tree over. So we try to make an X. We put the tree right in the middle of that X. There's 1,000 cars a day that drive by that orchard. I want it to look pretty on, straight, you know, that's what I want it to see, and I take a fair amount of pride in making that look that way.
Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control. Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control.
After the rows are marked, it's time to plant.
We use a planter that was designed and built here in Michigan for fruit trees. We kind of have a person that feeds the guy in the planter, that's me. And my dad typically drives the tractors.
Okay, I'm gonna sit here in this dirty tractor cab.
Yeah, it's a little dusty.
A little dusty. If I had water, I could plant something, grow something in here. There's a lot of dirt in this cab.
Ready to go, Bill? Try to go a little slower.
There's yelling, let's be honest, sometimes that happens, you know, but there's a lot of noise too, and hearing loss, that's a factor, so. Kind of opens up a furrow in the soil, about 18 inches deep, allows us to place the roots into the row, and then there's press wheels in the back that pull the soil shut and press it tight and firm around the tree. We get one last chance to kind of set the tree, and then it should be set to go.
Planting new trees is simply what keeps the Schultz Farm sustainable year after year and ensures that there will be a farm here for the next generation.
It's fun planting trees. I enjoy it, and I told that to Dad yesterday before we started. I said, I like doing this. He says, I do too. I said, yeah, I know. It's like there's all this potential going into the ground.
And that's the only thing these 200-some planted trees today will have for years to come. Potential.
Most fruit trees take 3 years to start producing fruit. And then you start getting closer to some sort of break-even point around year 5 to 7, if everything goes right. It's a bit of a gamble with peaches because there can always be an extremely cold winter every 20 years or so that happens that it can kill the tree.
So there's no guarantee that these trees will ever see a harvest season. And harvest season at Fruitridge Farms is quite the sight.
we are pretty much harvesting every day of the week from July 1st to Halloween. That's every day of the week, like quite literally.
Dan manages their largest crop harvest of the year in apples.
Apples tend to be a full crop. But I believe last year we were around 30,000 bushel, which is a full crop for us.
Or over 1.25 million pounds, which will go on to be sold commercially for applesauce and slices or direct to consumer through their market on the farm.
Daniel, we knew he was going to be a farmer when he was 5 years old.
He was just a natural. He's what I call our tractor boy. So, yeah, just...
He wore out Tonka
just
trucks.
natural.
And now Daniel and his wife have brought a fourth generation of Schultz farmers into the picture. We couldn't talk about the success of Schultz Fruitridge Farms without talking about their direct-to-consumer market.
Our direct marketing is a key part of our survivability here, okay? It cuts out the middleman and allows us to set our own price that is fair to both the consumer and the farmer. Most consumers don't realize that, a farmer gets it's like 12 cents on the dollar from the grocery store price.
At the heart of the market's recent success is Robin, who moved back to the farm in 2018.
I'm responsible for running the market here. So I hire and train our staff. I work with my brothers and dad to coordinate produce. I do all of our marketing and social media.
You don't want to blow somebody's ego up, but no, she's definitely a big part of our market success. I mean, she brings back a fresh perspective.
I try not to brag. Since I've returned in the last 5 years, partially due to COVID, partially due to some grape crop years, our sales have doubled. So there's definitely huge growth opportunities here at our market with our customers and our people on site. We obviously still do commercial sales, we do wholesales, but our growth potential is here on the farm, our relationship with our people. To come back to the farm for what I feel is my purpose in life was a big decision. And I had negotiations with my parents. I said, this is what I would need or want in order to come back. And so we talked it over. It wasn't just like, hey, I'm coming, see you tomorrow kind of thing. It takes those giant leaps of faith sometimes to make things work. And that's scary, but it's paid off and here we are.
Sales from the market now contribute to 2/3 of all fruit sales, while the last third are wholesale and commercial.
Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control. Farms of America is presented by RM43. Serious weed control.
Schultz diversification plan was made to protect themselves from years where Mother Nature takes aim at their fruit. But there are some years that diversification didn't protect them.
2012 here in Michigan,
Oh, yes.
which was a disaster year, a total disaster.
There was 3 frost events after the apples blossomed during the bloom. She or I, we quit paying ourselves after that frost event. We didn't pay ourselves for the rest of the year. So yeah, you got to be able to make a sacrifice.
But they didn't let their sacrifice be in vain because it started a thought on how they could diversify into something new, something that wasn't dependent on Mother Nature.
You always think that things aren't going to radically change, but life takes you on an adventure, and sometimes it's a roller coaster. If you'd asked me, 15 years ago, would we be operating a restaurant? I would say probably not, okay? But 2012 was a terrible year for us. It was the worst year in our farm's history. And, out of adversity comes growth, and it's and new ideas.
The opening of their restaurant and brewery not only paved a way for Andrew and his wife Ruth to rejoin the operation, it provided another way to market the crops that are grown on the farm.
But yeah, we try to work with the farm as much as possible. All the produce that we grow over there, we bring here, put on the menu. It's only 5 miles apart, so people make the connection all the time. And our staff talk about it. Customers will come here and they'll be like, on looking at the menu, like, oh, is the asparagus in at the farm?
All other crops that the Schultz grow contribute to the last 15% of the farm's yearly revenue.
So everybody's working for me, or for us, for each other, okay? All three of the boys and the daughter, I feel real good about that.
We are very fortunate and blessed to have a family that all still talks to each other, because there's some that don't.
All our kids have turned out really well, okay? Two-person team, but I think we did a good job.
Bill's years of dedication to his kids and his farm was obvious to us.
He will always be involved. To what degree, his body will determine. So I've heard him mention retirement, and so that's progress. When he was here with you guys yesterday talking, he's like, yeah, these guys are really great. I was like, yeah, Dad, you've been waiting your whole life for this. Like, share your story. Like, you have the stories. As his daughter, I've heard lots of them before, so they're not as exciting to me, and sometimes totally irrelevant, but at least, at least he has stories, and a lot of people live some dull lives, so we've got stories to share.
I have no vision to the future other than hopefully it works out. That is a great concern. Yes, it is.
You guys are good at that. Do you think they're gonna grow tomorrow?
No.
But I got a call back in January from a lobbyist that works at Farm Bureau and said, Bill, would you be interested in being put on a short list to go testify on Capitol Hill about an important upcoming new law coming down the pipe?
My name is Bill Schultz, and it is my honor as Vice President of Schultz Fruitridge Farms Incorporated to come before you today to speak about the SEC's Scope 3 emissions reporting requirements, which could negatively impact our multi-generational family business.
It would have pinned farmers against each other, and it ultimately would have squeezed out the middle and the small farms.
I represent the third generation of my family to grow fruit in Southwest Michigan. I farm in partnership with my parents and my three siblings. Growing fruits and vegetables for our customers and community is a very fulfilling experience, and I would consider it a privilege. I spend my Saturday mornings at our local farmers market, engaging with our customers and educating them on the happenings out at the farm. Our industry's focus is on growing the food, fuel, and fiber that this country needs. And being subjected to regulations intended for Wall Street does not advance that work.
The large farms that can afford consultants and attorneys could afford to comply, but we cannot. The compliance department consists of, they asked me that question. I said, what's your compliance department look like? I said, our compliance department looks like my mom, my sister, and myself when I can pitch in.
We plan and we plant for the future. From weather extremes to challenging markets, from labor struggles to maintaining profitability, a life in agriculture is not for the faint of heart. And it is clear that the SEC did not account for these complexities and nuances of farms when writing this rule.
And it actually worked. 2 months later, they pulled out that part and left it out away from agriculture. So, for now, we won. And it's like, we do care about the future, but we want to be involved in those conversations, because if you're not, you're gonna get run over. And I don't want to get run over. I'm gonna fight for what needs to be fought for.